Okay, so immediately from the title, a lot of you guys might think I've gone insane. And to be completely honest, maybe you guys are right because on paper, this should be a one-sided battle. But there are a few things that will change in this fight that may put, one side a little more in the runnings, I guess. But at this point, you guys can pretty much just call me a Boros simp because I somehow find a way to talk about this guy in a video every month or include him in a video every month. Considering he's dead, I mean, it's pretty impressive. He's been dead for quite a long time. So, I mean, the fact that I keep bringing him back just shows I'm pretty much a certified Boros simp. But apart from that, as you can tell by the title, in this video, we're going to be talking about all forms of Boros versus the Cadres. Now, just before you guys go insane in the comments, I'm just going to say now that yes, I am going to be including Orochi and 𝗨𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗠 as part of the Cadres, even though they technically aren't part of the Cadres. I mean, the Cadres need all the help they can get in this fight because let's be honest, Boros is a fucking beast. And to be completely honest, I feel like adding Orochi, especially his retcon form, would kind of give, the Cadres a huge boost in terms of their overall strength. But of course, before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel because, as you can tell by my channel, I post a lot of One Punch Man content. And if you like One Punch Man, then I don't know about you, but I like One Punch Man, you like One Punch Man. It's like a match made in heaven. Just subscribe. But apart from that, let's just get into the video because this video is going to be pretty long, I'm pretty sure. But first of all, I just kind of want to lay the foundations like I usually do with these versus battles. I mean, I've done multiple other versus battles and you can check those out because I've been releasing quite a lot of them recently. But yeah, I just want to, set the foundations. And basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going over the threat levels of all of Boros's forms first. And I'm also going to be going over the threat levels of the Cadres as well, including Orochi and 𝗨𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗠. And by the way, Golden Sperm is also going to be included in this fight. Yes, golden sperm and black sperm are pretty much the same thing. So I don't know about you, but I think it makes a lot of sense. But first of all, let's go over all of Boros's forms. Now, first of all, let's talk about Armored Boros. Now, Armored Boros, for me personally, I feel like he is like a very high dragon. I feel like he's like the pinnacle of high dragons, or maybe approaching low above dragon, but I feel like he is kind of like the highest of high dragons. I feel like that's where, Armored Boros is personally. I feel like that's where his strength lies. Even though he was able to exchange some blows with Saitama, I'm pretty sure Saitama wasn't taking him too seriously at that point. It's until Boros went into released form, that's when, Saitama started to get a tiny bit, I guess tiny bit more quote unquote serious. But of course, I feel like Armored Boros is like just like the highest of high dragons. Now let's move on to released Boros. Now in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think released Boros is like a low to mid above dragon. I feel like that's where released Boros is. I feel like he's more leaning towards mid above dragon rather than low above dragon. But I definitely think, release Boros is in and around that, area of strength. I feel like that's pretty fair to put released Boros in that, I guess, category. But finally, I want to talk about Meteoric Boros. Now, Meteoric Boros to me personally is definitely like a high above dragon / low god. I feel like that's where, Meteoric Boros is in terms of strength. We've seen what Meteoric Boros can do. He was able to send Saitama to the moon with one kick. I mean, let's be completely honest. That's definitely still to this day one of the best feats or one of the most impressive feats in One Punch Man. Of course, Meteoric Boros is, he has insane speed, strength, durability, regeneration, all that crazy stuff. Some of the strongest attacks in the series we've seen from Meteoric Boros. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say Boros is definitely like top 2 in the series. I personally think he's still the strongest in the series to this day, but that's for a completely different video. I've probably made a video about that in the past, so you can check the One Punch Man playlist if you're so eager to see my opinions on that. But anyway, we've kind of gone over all of Boros's forms and how strong I think they are in terms of threat level. So let's go on to the Cadres plus Orochi plus Psychos plus Golden Sperm. Yeah, so first of all, let's talk about Overgrown Rover. Now, so if you guys remember, in my video on, Golden Sperm versus the Cadres, I kind of did Rover a disservice. I said Rover was a normal dragon, but actually, once I thought about it for a second after I released the video, Rover actually was able to tank a blow from Saitama and still was able to get up, which in itself is one of the most impressive feats in the series. So I feel like Rover deserves like a high dragon status. I feel like that's where Rover is in terms of strength and durability and all that stuff overall. So I think that's a pretty fair place to put Rover. Now moving on to Nian. Well, Nian, you guys know how I feel about Nian. Nian is like a low to mid dragon. He's nothing really that special. Now moving on, let's talk about Homeless Emperor. Homeless Emperor, in my opinion, is pretty much a regular dragon. I feel like what pushes, Homeless Emperor down from being a high dragon is the fact that he has such low durability. And I mean, it's just, I don't really know what to say. Homeless Emperor definitely does have the attack potency, but in terms of durability, he just isn't up there. But moving on, let's talk about Fura Ugly. In my opinion, Fura Ugly is definitely just a normal dragon as well. Nothing too special, pretty strong, but not one of the strongest, I mean. But moving on, let's talk about our boy Gums, the boy with no eyes. Another normal dragon, although he does have a pretty bottomless stomach, I will say that. That's pretty impressive. I wish I had Gums' abilities where I could just eat anything. I would never go hungry. And plus I could actually build muscle because I have a really, slow metabolism. But that's besides the point. We're getting pretty personal. But let's move on to the next monster. Let's talk about our boy Golden Sperm. Now, Golden Sperm, to me, if you guys have been on the channel long enough, for me, I feel like he's a low above dragon. He was able to beat Vomited Fura Ugly in a few punches. He was able to knock Darkshine with one blow pretty easily. So I think he's pretty much deserved, or he's definitely, proven that he is a low above dragon. Now let's talk about Evil Natural Water. Now Evil Natural Water is pretty complicated because I feel like Evil Natural Water has the most potential to be the strongest amongst the Cadres, but right now I feel like he's like a mid to high dragon. I feel like he definitely has the potential to become an above dragon, but for now that's where I think Evil Natural Water is in terms of strength. Now moving on to Elder Centipede, because I actually forgot for a second that Elder Centipede was actually part of the Cadres. But yeah, Elder Centipede to me is like a high dragon, kind of approaching low above dragon, just due to how big he is. His size definitely does matter in a fight to an extent. Of course, against people like Saitama, size doesn't matter, but in most cases size does definitely matter in a fight. So I feel like Elder Centipede, even his durability is crazy and his strength as well is pretty good. So I feel like he's like a high dragon approaching low above dragon. I feel like that's fair for Elder Centipede, definitely one of the stronger Cadres. Now let's go on to our boy Goketsu. Now Goketsu, in my opinion, you know how I feel about Goketsu. He's a very strong monster and I feel like he is definitely a solid high dragon. I feel like Goketsu has definitely proved that he is a high dragon despite not living that long, which is pretty impressive in itself, because he was not in the series for that long, to be honest, yet he was still able to prove that he was one of the strongest characters we've seen so far in the series. So hats off to Goketsu. He did pretty well considering he lived like 2 seconds. But moving on to Psychos. Now I feel like Psychos, in my opinion, is like a regular dragon. I don't even know why I put Psychos in this lineup, because I feel like Psychos doesn't actually help. I don't think I can include Psychos Orochi because I feel like that's going overkill. At that point it wouldn't make sense. Orochi and Psychos Orochi literally can't fight individually because they are they're a fusion together. So I don't think I should have included Psychos Orochi. That would be, as I said before, a bit overkill. But I feel like, yeah, that's kind of how strong I think Psychos is, just a regular dragon. Now let's talk about Orochi. Now Orochi's retcon form is definitely stronger than his previous form. Now I feel like Orochi's retcon form is like a low to mid above dragon. So I'm talking like maybe released Boros level. If that's kind of where I'm talking about for retcon Orochi. I feel like that's kind of where Orochi is in terms of strength. We've seen what he was able to do with the Gaia cannon, and that in itself is a crazy feat. The fact that he's able to take the power from the core of the earth and use it as his own is crazy, and I feel like that would be pretty hard for Boros to counter, especially when he's, you know, in his released form, or when he's not in his final Meteoric Boros burst form. Now, finally, now that we've kind of gone over all of the strength of the Cadres and, you know, Boros's forms, straight off the bat, let's get the elephant out of the room. Meteoric Boros is wiping the floor with the Cadres, including Orochi's retcon form and 𝗨𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗓 and Golden Sperm. I feel like Meteoric Boros would not be, it wouldn't be like a low diff, but it would be like a mid diff. We've seen what Meteoric Boros can do. And I feel like, but you know, cadres like 𝗨𝗟𝗧𝗜𝗓𝗏, 𝗨𝗟𝗧𝗓𝗏, Rover, you know, flipping gums, all those, you know, lower cadres are going to be taken out so quickly. Like in a blink of an eye, they will be gone. And I feel like it would be kind of just Orochi versus Meteoric Boros, and, you know, Orochi and Golden Sperm versus Meteoric Boros. And I feel like that in itself won't be too easy for Meteoric Boros, but I feel like he could still get the job done. So I feel like Meteoric Boros would, you know, win against the cadres, including Orochi and Golden Sperm and 𝗨𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗓. Now, let's go on to the more realistic battles now. We're talking Armored Boros. Now, let's talk about Armored Boros, because I feel like in this case, the Cadres and Orochi and Golden Sperm and 𝗨𝗧𝗍𝗓 definitely win against Armored Boros. I mean, Armored Boros is like a really high dragon, or the pinnacle of high dragons. And since we've literally got 2 above dragons on our team, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Armored Boros cannot take on the Cadres along with Orochi and Golden Sperm, etc. So I feel like that's the fight that I feel like the Cadres can 100% win. Kind of like a low diff, to be honest. I feel like Armored Boros would be a pretty low diff for the Cadres, considering how many of them they are. I feel like Armored Boros would just be overwhelmed. And just the disclaimer that this is Armored Boros, so that means Armored Boros, not released or Meteoric. This is just Armored Boros. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've already made that clear. But moving on, let's talk about released Boros. Now, released Boros is a bit different, because I feel like released Boros would be able to take care of, you know, characters like 𝗨𝗟𝗓𝗏, Homeless Emperor, etc. But I feel like when it comes to retcon Orochi and Golden Sperm, and, you know, maybe even Rover, considering how durable he is, or maybe even Evil Natural Water or 𝗨𝗟𝗧𝗓𝗏 Centipede, I feel like, you know, released Boros would, you know, have to really turn it up a little bit, because these guys are not weak by any means. And, you know, released Boros is not Boros's final form. This is like a mid above dragon, and we've, you know, the Cadres do have a mid above dragon on their team in, you know, retcon Orochi, and they've even got a low above dragon in Golden Sperm, and even 𝗨𝗟𝗓𝗏 Centipede, who I think is approaching low above dragon, could maybe even cause Boros a few problems here and there. So I feel like this is definitely the hardest matchup to come to a verdict to. Now, I feel like if we're thinking about it realistically, released Boros's speed is definitely faster than any of the Cadres, including Orochi and Golden Sperm. I feel like, you know, released Boros could maybe blitz the lower, you know, the lower level Cadres like 𝗨𝗟𝗓𝗏𝗏, 𝗨𝗟𝗓𝗏𝗏, Gums, etc. And yeah, as I said, it's gonna leave, you know, Golden Sperm, Orochi, Evil Natural Water, 𝗨𝗟𝗏𝗏 Centipede. And I feel like at that point, released Boros, he's gonna need to really think about it, because he can't just go in recklessly, because if he goes in recklessly, you know, Orochi could just fire off a Gaia cannon, and that would be pretty much the end of the fight. And Golden Sperm can, you know, come in and hit Boros a few times and do some damage. But we need to also consider that Boros can regenerate, which is very tough. And considering, you know, any of the Cadres that are left, they can't really regenerate, so it would be pretty tough to come to a verdict to. I feel like this would be like a high diff fight, a very high diff fight for both sides. Whichever sides wins, it would definitely be a high diff fight. And I feel like it would be a high diff fight for the Cadres. Like, just thinking about it realistically, we have retcon Orochi, we have Golden Sperm, we have Evil Natural Water, we have, you know, Elder Centipede, these crazy monsters, but facing against one released Boros, who by the way can also run out of energy despite his energy stores being crazy. I feel like it would be an extreme high diff fight for the Cadres there, including Orochi and Golden Sperm, etc. I feel like that's kind of the verdict I'm going to come to in this video. I feel like Armored Boros loses to the Cadres. Released Boros, it's hard, I mean, it pains me to say, but I feel like released Boros just couldn't take, you know, Orochi, Golden Sperm, Elder Centipede. I don't think, you know, released Boros could do that. So I feel like it would be an extreme high diff fight for the Cadres to win against released Boros. And finally, Meteoric Boros definitely does win against all the Cadres, including Orochi, Golden Sperm, etc. So I feel like that's the verdict I'm gonna come to in this video. I don't know if you guys agree with me. I would actually like to know what you guys think in the comments. And this video is actually pretty long, probably the longest video I've made. But apart from that, if you like the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video.